I don't know why. What is it about right-wingers that they are so focused on body functions and the F word and just all that creepy stuff? Don't you right-wingers ever come out into the sunlight for anything at all? But anyway, on these right-wing websites, reading some of the postings, which to me is fascinating in a real macabre sort of way. It's I don't know what it's like. It's like watching hungry feral pigs devour a corpse out in the middle of the woods. It's just vile. I don't get it. I don't think I've ever felt more separated from different factions of Americans than I do now. I mean, even back in the 60s, in the anti-war days, late 60s, early 70s, when there were a lot of people who were still supporting the war because they weren't quite convinced that the war was based on lies and deception and corporate greed, even then. The people who were so-called pro-war were still open to, as a matter of fact, a lot of them flipped from being pro-war to being completely anti-war because they still had open minds. But here we are 40 years later, and people who identify themselves as right-wing or teabag or conservative or Republican, I've never seen anything like this, ever. How unable these people are to use their own minds. And to me, it's like somebody has reached in and flipped a switch that was put in there at birth or so. I don't know. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. And the only way I can answer my own question is how did these people get so divorced from reality is to think about the kind of talk radio that they've had pumped into their heads over the past 25 years. That's the only thing I can think of. Right-wing television is bad enough, but you can escape that when you get in the car. Well, until Sirius and XM, now you can listen to television, listen to it. But for 25 years, people were exposed to this distorted, unreal, steady stream of lies and deceptions about what this country was about, what the working class was about, what the middle class was about, what unions are about, what solidarity is about, what respect and decency is about, to the point where all these years later, we have a whole generation of people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s who bought into that right-wing garbage and are now unable to function on any level other than this knee-jerk kind of closeted fascism. And it's just, I don't know, on the one hand it's scary, but on the other hand I also realize that nature or evolution has a way of weeding out the corrupted part of most species, the part that does not function in making a certain species more fit or more able to continue or more willing to work collectively to move into the next generation. So I do know that these people will select themselves out of existence in a manner of speaking, not in their lifetimes, not in 10 of their, not, their great grand offspring, but eventually they will, because to try to operate with 6, 7, 8 billion other people on Earth in the manner that they're trying to operate is impossible. It just can't be done. But again, to listen to some of the, and especially the kind of rhetoric, I'm going to share some with you coming back here in a minute, from these right-wing presidential candidates, the neo-fascists, this group of 8 or 9 who are just getting more bizarre each day that passes, to listen to how they describe, and congressional leaders on the fascist side describe the the Occupy people, whether they're in New York or LA or DC or whatever, the descriptions that are being used are just unbelievably vile. But I went to one of those right-wing websites today and hung out for a while reading some of the postings. And I swear it's like wandering through an asylum for the criminally insane. Very scary. Not in a sense of, ooh, they're going to hurt me, but a sense of, how do these people function? I mean, how do they get up in the morning and last through a day and go to bed at night? It's bizarre. Anyway, this sense of divorce from reality is just that I sense in this country is just, I don't know. It's pretty scary. I guess the part I'm having the most trouble with is understanding the 99% of the American people that are not, obviously, in the top 1%. How that 99%, so many of them are so willing to continue to joyfully participate in their own oppression. That's the part I don't quite get. Now, I can understand historically why groups of people would do that in different times, different places, very little communication. But this is here and now, where anyone who is ignorant of what's going on is ignorant by choice. And maybe that's the answer, that choosing to be ignorant. But how the 99% that is not and never will be in that ruling elite, how and why they are so willing to mock and denigrate the folks who are calling attention to what has happened here, the complete ripoff of everybody in America. And this is the part that just blows past me. The teabaggers, the right-wingers who want to elect more of these fascist crazy people. What is it? There has got to be some kind of a hideous, yet-to-be-discovered brain disease that is circulating among millions of people in this country. The right-wingers, the Republicans, the conservatives. How else to explain the contempt and loathing that they express for people who are camping out in the streets in order to protest a stranglehold that 1% has on everybody in this country? I cannot understand that. I mean, it's one thing to have someone have a different point of view. I can get into a discussion with somebody who's diametrically opposed to everything I believe in. And as long as I feel that they're sane or they're willing to use some logical point of view to make their point, I can have a discussion with that person, agree to disagree agreeably, and still think that I'm talking to someone who is not completely mad, insane. But that's not the way the people who are mocking the Occupy folks are conducting themselves. I cannot understand. Now, I've said before that some of these people, like Glenn Beck, they do this for sport. They are so wealthy and so in that top, 1%, that they feel totally removed from any chance that something bad is going to happen to them. They can foment hate and anger and street fighting. This is what Beck thrives on. Because he's a coward, because so many people like that are complete cowards, they want to see other people bloodletting each other. This is what they're about. This is what Beck is about. And I don't get why people don't understand that, how they're being manipulated into this blood sport for the sake of this top 1% or 0.5%, whatever they are, who just don't care. You take the average teabagger, the average right-winger, the average person who's going to vote Republican, the candidates, the corporate folks who control the reins, they don't give a damn about these people. I mean, even their vote is a joke. But they're so willing to line up and say, yeah, those protesters stink. Aren't they funny? They're all dope-smoking hippies. Aren't they funny? I can't understand that.